Brother, in 2013, I was 20 years old and I dropped out of college. And at the time, that felt like the moment everything fell apart. I'm 33 now. I have a career I actually enjoy, stable income, benefits, and a path forward. But none of it happened the way I thought it would. And the job that ended up changing the direction of my life was one I never planned to keep. If you're in your 20s and you feel lost right now, this might be the most useful thing you hear today. When I was in college, I was majoring in electrical engineering. And somewhere along the way, I realized I didn't actually want to be an engineer. Every time I imagined doing it for the next 30 years, something in me resisted. I couldn't explain it at the time. I just knew the answer was no. So I dropped out. And this solved one problem and immediately created another one. Now I had no degree, no direction, and no plan. I was working a security job on the weekends, making around $800 a month. I was still living with my parents, watching most of my friends seem to move forward while I felt completely stuck. For the next 2 years, not much changed. I told myself I was figuring things out, but honestly, I spent more time thinking about my future than actually moving toward one. If you've been there, you know exactly what that feels like. You're not lazy, you're just paralyzed, and paralysis looks a lot like laziness from the outside, which makes it worse. Then my 22nd birthday came around. My mom and sister took me to a state park I'd been going to for years. We walked the 2 mile loop I had done dozens of times, and eventually the question came up again. The same one that had been following me around for 2 years. What are you going to do with your life? And this time it was something different because I noticed something that had been true the whole time. I was genuinely happy out there. I could spend an entire day in nature and never once check the time. For the first time, I stopped asking, what career should I pick, and started asking something different. What do I already enjoy enough that I wouldn't mind doing more of it? That one question changed everything. When I got home, I started looking up careers connected to the outdoors. Environmental science kept coming up. Parks, conservation, wildlife. For the first time in years, it felt like something I didn't dread. I wouldn't even call it certainty, it was just interest. And I've learned since then that interest is enough. You don't need certainty to take the next step. You just need enough to move. So I enrolled in an online environmental science program and kept working security while I waited for classes to start. About 10 months later, I was done. Not done with school, done with that job. Tired of being treated poorly, tired of showing up somewhere that made me feel like I didn't matter. So I quit. I had no backup and nothing lined up. It felt like the right call for about 2 months. Then the money started running low and it felt like a different kind of mistake. I needed income, something, anything. So I applied for a seasonal 6-month position at a local parks and recreation department. It was 40 hours a week. It wasn't glamorous, and I wasn't looking for it to be. The plan was simple: work the 6 months, do homework at lunch, study after work, save enough to survive, and graduate into a real career. This was just a bridge, except something got in the way of that plan. I actually liked it. The environment just felt right. The people felt right. For the first time in a long time, work didn't feel completely disconnected from who I was. So I showed up every day and did the work. I helped where I could. I tried to be the kind of person who was easy to work with and hard to replace. I got to know people across the department, not as some calculated networking move, just because I genuinely liked them. And I didn't realize at the time how much that would matter. When the 6 months ended, my supervisor asked me to stay. I said yes. A few months later, 2 full-time positions opened up within the parks department. One was at the recreation center and one was as a park ranger. The park ranger role was the one I wanted. I'd never done it before. I had no idea if I had a realistic shot, but I had spent months showing up, doing good work, and being someone people could count on. The park ranger supervisor knew who I was. A former coworker had recently made the same move, so I applied for both positions and waited. A few weeks later, I got the call. Offers for both. I took the park ranger position, and that job, the one I stumbled into through a seasonal role I only took to pay my bills, turned out to be the first real step in a career that finally made sense to my life. None of it came from a perfect plan. I didn't map out where I wanted to be at 30 or find my purpose at 22. I just took the next reasonable step, and then another one, and then another one. And eventually those steps led somewhere real. Here's what I want to leave you with. And I'm not telling you to do this because it sounds good. I'm telling you because I lived it. Don't write off a job because it isn't the destination. The recreation center wasn't where I was trying to go, but it was the door that got me there. Sometimes the opportunity isn't the job itself, it's the people you'll meet and the reputation you'll build while you're doing it. And speaking of reputation, it matters more than most people realize. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to be the loudest or the most ambitious. You just have to be the one who showed up, did the work, and made things easier for the people around you. People remember that. And when opportunities come up, they think of the person who was dependable and not the person who was just impressive. If you're lost right now, stop trying to plan your entire future. That's what kept me stuck for 2 years. You don't need the whole path. You just need a better next step than the one you're on. Because here's what I've come to understand. Momentum creates opportunities. Opportunities create clarity, and clarity creates direction. At 20, I thought I needed all the answers before I could move. What I actually needed was to move and trust that the answers would show up somewhere along the way. They did, and they will for you too.